also, you fought on the very first Premier Boxing Champions. You actually main evented the first PBC show ever
Kicked it off.
against Keith Thurman, on network television. It was the first time that boxing had been on network television in almost 20 years, if not, more than that. But, can you tell me about being a part of PBC and the first main event against Thurman where millions watched? I'm sure that you hold that experience very near and dear to your heart.
Oh, yeah, that was an incredible experience to kick off PBC, to be the first one in how many, what was it, about 30 years or something like that?
Something like 15, 20 years at least on network TV. But
so, I mean, it was exciting. You watch old films with like Marvin Hagler, on Wild World of Sports and stuff like that. And you being in that limelight, the first one to break it off. I mean, it was exciting. And then also too, the fight. I mean, it was electrifying. Just going head up with Keith Thurman, back and forth, and the amount of pressure I put on him, and him with his boxing skills. I mean, it was an incredible fight. It's probably one of my favorite fights is being in there, even though I came up short. But I always look at it as he won the fight, but I won the war because he was pretty banged up.
Is that a fight that you like to run back? I mean, look, right now Thurman is. He mentioned to us a couple months ago when he was here on Instagram Live that he wants to fight Pacquiao again. And he mentioned that he believes he deserves a rematch with Pacquiao. If for some reason that rematch doesn't happen, would you want to fight Keith Thurman again?
Oh, definitely. Definitely I want to get back in there. The first 4 or 5 rounds I approached the fight, I was like in cruise control. And just coming in, walking in real slow. That has to do with, I feel, that mental state, how we were talking about, my father was always on his game, working hard, training, studying film, but me just coasting through, just training hard, but mentally not getting prepared, watching the film and all that stuff. And, 100% prepared. I walked in the first 5 rounds. It was like if I was sparring until the knockdown came and then really woke me up and lit a fire under me. And I was like, okay, I'm down 5 rounds. Now I
time to
just
turn it
down.
up.
That's another 2 rounds. I need a knockout. So that's when I turned it up. And I really feel if I would have turned it up from the first round, I think I would have got Keith Thurman out of there because that last round he was hanging on for dear life.
So is now that your mindset moving forward now, you are 37 years of age to start quicker instead of sort of, letting rounds kind of, because you have to pace yourself over the course of a 10, 12 round fight. You know that better than anybody, but is your focus to start a little bit stronger to where you don't get behind in the early part of the fight?
Oh, definitely. And then also, working on my boxing skills. When I got to welterweight, I had a chip on my shoulder that I had to prove that I needed to be there. When I fought Andre Berto, I had a chip on my shoulder that I had to walk him down and bang him out and get him out of there, which I did. And as soon as I did that, it just went straight to my head. The boxing skills went out the door. When I was at the lighter weights, 126, 130, 135, I was a boxer, on my toes, using my jab, working behind the jab. I threw that all out the door as soon as I got to 147 and tried to walk down these big guys. I mean, you look at Keith Thurman in the amateurs, he was 154 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
Coming down to 47 now as a pro. I'm technically the smaller guy. People think because of my height that I'm really a big guy. But, when you get a full-fledged 147, 154 pounder, they got thicker bones, more dense. They're a little heavier. They're more solid. Even though we look kind of the same, body-wise, but they are actually physically bigger guys. So, in my head, mentally, I thought, hey, I got to walk these guys down. I got to show them I could be here. When really I should have just been working on my skills and using my jab and boxing these guys a lot more like I should.
So instead of coming forward and trying to maul them and brawl them as much.
Yep, exactly. So, that's one of the things, sitting down with my father, Bob Santos, and my team was, hey, we make that comeback, I got to start working on the skills, boxing. I mean, you've seen it the last 3 fights, using my jab a lot more, picking shots, doing a lot of different things in the ring on my toes more. So, it's one of those attributes that when I'm on it, it's amazing. As you've seen, in in the Michael Casitas fight. You
Yeah.
watched with Malcolm Clausen. You watched, all my title fights. Whenever I was impressive and performing great was when I was on my toes boxing. And the fans love those
Those
grueling,
wars.
those
Well, I
grueling
mean,
wars.
you're Yoshihiro Kama guy, when you fought him at Dignity Health Sports Park that used to be known as the StubHub Center. So the
Yep.
war grounds in Carson in Southern California.
Oh yeah. So I mean, the fans love it. I got that fire to do that. But at the same time, I can do it behind a jab with boxing skills also.
So it's more so being a boxer, but also knowing that you can be a brawler. So not being brawler first, boxer first, then brawler, and try to suffocate your opponent.
Oh, definitely. Just put the skills to work and then go to town. So but coming in head first and just trying to bang guys out and take them out, at the elite level with guys like Thurman, Garcia, Mayweather, it's not going to work.
So is the fight that you want next Keith Thurman, if Thurman doesn't fight Pacquiao, or who else out there, interests you? Because, you've won 3 in a row, and as a contender in the welterweight division, you are a name and have been there. And with the people that you fought, that, you bring, that significant name factor, and also you're going to, come forward and fight. So is there anyone that you want to fight right now aside from Thurman?
Oh, I'm looking at Pacquiao too.
No, you want Pacquiao too?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
You seen Pacquiao beating guys like Adrian Broner, Keith Thurman. He's taking out these young guys, man. So, I'm looking at that Pacquiao fight too. I'm looking at the whole welterweight landscape. It doesn't matter. I just want to be in there with the top fighters, and I want to go out there and win that world championship again. You even got guys like Errol Spence. Who is the top guy? Shoot, I'd love to get in with Errol Spence. It's one of those things. Match up a lefty with a lefty and see what they can do. I know I fought a lot of lefties, so I have that experience and I know what I got to do.
Robert, I want to talk about your team. Happy birthday to Louis DeCubas Jr., who I believe is your manager and has been involved in your team for a very long time. Louis is, behind the scenes when it comes to Premier Boxing champions and managing fighters. But, the common fan doesn't necessarily know how much Louis has done for the sport. And also, can you touch on your relationship with Louis DeCubas Jr.? His father, Louis Sr., actually was one of the managers for Roberto Duran back in the day.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Happy birthday, Louis. I'm going to throw that out there right now.
Happy birthday, Louis.
Yeah, I've been with Louis for a long time. I was also with Louis' father to help me out, early in my career. With Louis Sr., he's got me fights out in Miami with
Warriors Boxing.
Warriors Boxing, with America Presents and stuff like that.
Siquan as well, back when they were in existence.
Yeah, so he worked with me, and I've known Louis for years before he was getting into boxing, and as soon as he got into boxing and started taking over and doing what he got to do with all these fighters, it was a no-brainer to get with him. And man, I look at Louis and the rest of my team is not as work partners, but as family. And I really keep them really close to my heart because, I look at them really as family. And when you have your family on your side, you're unstoppable.
Well, speaking of family, another guy, because, I love to talk about, look at everything with your team. But Bob Santos, to me, who is so underrated as a cut man and as assistant trainer. I mean, I feel like he loves you like a son. He's been very instrumental in what you've been able to do as well.
Oh, definitely. Bob is like my stepfather. Him and my dad, they've been guiding me since I was in the amateurs and been on my side and having Bob, he's amazing. I have full trust in Bob with everything, around my career and even just in daily life with my family also, because, he's been guiding me. He's one of my mentors in life, as a Christian man, as a father, as in the boxing sport. He is really underrated, like you said, but that has to come down to him being just a humble guy and not, hey, look what I'm doing, or look at who I work with, or what. He's very humble, and he approaches everything like that. And those are the type of guys you want on your side, and guiding your career.
Speaking of guys that you want on your side, let's talk about Al Heyman, who is, been your advisor for a very long time. Al has done so much for so many people in the world of entertainment and now in boxing. But, how was your relationship and how has your life changed, being advised by Al Heyman?
Being advised by Al Heyman, I mean, my life changed drastically. Um, Financially, not just financially, but also just looking at the bigger picture, and seeing what kind of man he is, how he takes care of us fighters. And the one thing I loved is when I signed with Al, was first thing he told me was, hey, it's about you and not about me. You're the guy that gets in there, and it's about you. And ever since then, it's been like that. And I really cherish having him, as a manager, and just somebody there advising me, as a man. I mean, it's been incredible, for the sport of boxing, for the fans also too, to be able to watch fights, live on network TV for free. I mean, that's amazing. It's amazing. And I really feel the sport's coming back hard because of Al Heyman.
And Robert, as we go ahead and wind down with the interview, what is your current thought process on, as you look at, the state of boxing? Because I feel like boxing, even in the midst of this pandemic, is in such a healthy place. And I think that PBC has been a very integral part of that change over the past 5 years.
Oh, definitely. Boxing really, really is. It's one of those sports that no matter what, it's going to be alive. People are going to enjoy it. To sit down, watch a fight, from your home. Especially, you start getting able, like right now we got the PBC going. You got all these young fighters coming up, so now you're able to follow a fighter. You're not just going to see a top fighter on HBO, Showtime, or pay-per-view, and know about them. Now you're starting to see young fighters, guys like Joey Spencer. People are seeing Caleb Plant's career build to the World Championship. You're seeing all these fighters come up, and now we're becoming household names, where the average person that is not really a boxing fan can relate to their story, can relate to them, and start following them. Where it's just bringing up boxing and bringing us fighters, and it really is it's a
Do we
part
go?
of it, and to be able to kick off that PBC, that first one.
Well, it's great to join you and have you with us, Robert. Finally, what do you want to tell all your fans and that are watching all over the place? And we hope to see you back in the ring sooner rather than later.
Keep looking out, because I'm hunting for that World Championship again. I'm ready to get back into a big fight. My next one, I'm hoping I get back into a big fight. So the landscape for the welterweight division is packed. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to be back. And then also too, love one another. Love one another and be kind to each other, and take care of, because everybody's going through a rough time right now, and it's about love and having a great time.
And finally, Robert, fighting without fans potentially, what would that change anything for you, or would it be the same? I mean, because right now it appears as if there are going to be no fans in the arenas. We're seeing the Bundesliga in Germany, the English Premier League, that are playing without fans. It seems like we are going to see boxing is back here in the United States without fans. What's your thought process on that?
What, for us fighters, it really doesn't matter. I think we'll be a lot more focused now. Walking in with no fans, some guys get caught up into the crowd, the oohs, the ahs. There's going to be a lot more concentration now. And, the one good thing is, my first fight back, my first two fights back, actually, they were on the undercard. So I was like the first couple of fights and there was nobody in the crowd. So, kind of prepared me for that. But, I'm excited. I just can't wait. When you walk into that ring as a professional, I mean, everybody else will tell you as a top pro is, you know, when you're in that ring, you pretty much just drown everything out that's around you,
Mm.
and that focus, you're so focused where you can only hear your guy in the corner,
Yeah.
and the rest of the crowd is just as a blur.
Well, Robert, thank you so much for your time, my man. We look forward to seeing you back in the ring sooner rather than later. You know, stay safe with you and your family, and thanks so much for your time. We love talking with you and hope to see you real soon.
Hey, thank you, Ray. Thank all the fans too. I'm back, baby.
Robert the Ghost Guerrero joining us here on Instagram Live. Great to speak with Robert Guerrero.